going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC reality checking. You don't see my pretty, sexy face, so you know I'm not alone. Jacob, say hello.
What's going on, bud?
And let's nail it right from the beginning. No, it's not part 3 of the Cruiserweight video. It's the long lost episode that's never gonna happen, and it's also not one of the replacement NXT reviews that we've gotten in the habit of doing recently. If I miss an episode of NXT, because I consciously missed this reviewing this episode of NXT, I can't even speak because it pissed me off. NXT was toilet water. So it's not getting a review.
Yeah, this one unfortunately was very disappointing.
Although there is one little thing I'm going to touch on before we get out of here.
I mean, I was really upset about the fact of the Lover and Lever match was so inconsequential. And I know a lot of people have brought this up already. And okay, but still, it just felt like a damn shame. Like they really dropped the ball on this one when they could have avoided doing so. They made it
true.
Just
The whole show was
unnecessary.
The whole show is I think I mentioned it on the previous week's review because last week's was shit too. The pre-taped sci-fi episodes. Let's just hope they don't have to do any of those for a while, because clearly they've gone the AEW route of like, hey, if we know there's going to be spoilers, we're not going to do too much. The one really cool thing they're doing right now is the Dakota Kai Raquel Gonzalez thing. So I will give them credit for that.
It was delivered well, but it was so general of like, I made you, now I'll break you kind of.
Yeah, but you know what it is though?
But it was delivered well, so I mean, it was competent. It just, I was hoping for, I guess, something a little bit more original from Team Kick, but
I will say that I do think if she hadn't been stolen to the main roster, you definitely could have thrown Tegan Nox in there somewhere. And I do agree with you, it is super generic. I brought you into this world, I can take you out. Yeah. But the thing that usually gets lost in the shuffle, and then we'll get on to what we're talking about this evening, is you can do the stuff that's done all the time and still do it well. And not so much Raquel Gonzalez, but I think even in her role, even for as much focus as she gets now, Dakota Kai is still so underappreciated that she's going to go into this takeover, which is hopefully going to be in front of a big audience. She's really going to have something to prove, like you and I said way back at TakeOver Portland.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get another we're going to get another performance like that from her, and I think she will bring whatever the story hasn't done up to where it needs to be on the night. And that doesn't always work, but I do get the feeling that in this case that's going to be the case. But it is, at the same time, one of the only things that I'm really looking forward to as far as story in NXT, because they're building a great takeover.
Yeah,
but they're doing what NXT gets. They're doing what NXT gets accused of doing, which I usually defend them on, because I don't.
Matches, no build, yeah.
Because there are people that are like, oh, you can skip the weekly NXT and just get the pay-per-view or whatever. Not pay-per-view, but you know what I mean. I think there's a lot of times where that accusation gets thrown around where I don't think it's valid, because I think
the only reason it is valid is because WWE is so talented at their packages, their recap packages and stuff, that it makes a huge difference. Yeah. But if it wasn't for that, then honestly, I think people wouldn't be able to say that so willy-nilly.
Yeah, but you know what it is as well, though, is I think when NXT was like the network show NXT, it kind of was like that. You got some good stuff week to week. They give you like, here's your 1 hour little like appetizer of wrestling. When it became the 2 hour show, in potential rather than actual delivery all the time, I do prefer the 2 hour show. That's just me. I do think they get to flesh out a lot more things there, and you get some goofy stuff on there that you wouldn't have normally gotten, the goofy stuff that's actually good.
Yeah, I wanted them to have 2 hours, because there was times where I was like, oh, this will behoove them, because it will be something that's exponentially better. And
or when they started building a roster of a certain size, it was like, okay, if you've only got an hour a week, I'm going to see the guy I like this week, and then I'm going to see him 4 weeks from now.
Yeah.
Because they did even though they didn't show everybody every week, they did do a pretty good job of rotating it. Like, if they focused on the tag team division 1 week, you might get a mid-card main event the following week. You might get some story build to the main title the next week. They did make sure to keep the focus rotating, right? But I think people took a snapshot of like the early days NXT where you could really skip the weekly show and go to the takeover. I think they took a snapshot of it back then and assumed that kept going to the point where it was parody. It's like you haven't even given the show a chance at some points. And I'm just like, as much as I'm shitting on these past 2 weeks, I'm not gonna start parroting things that aren't true.
Yeah, I mean that's
TakeOver's still looking good. They've still been very vague about whether or not it's in the CWC, so we'll see where that goes. But we are talking about the show that I said I wasn't going to talk about because they don't deserve it. And really, I wanted to share this thought with you as well because it pertains to a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight. There is so much other shit going on right now. And I wanted to get your opinion on it because you and Joe review more shows in a week than I do.
Yeah.
Basically because I review NXT, and that's about it. But there is so much other shit, like so much either behind the scenes or moving parts or external stuff, whatever you want to refer to it as, that sitting down and putting your focus just on a show almost feels like it's what you have to get through to talk about the stuff you want to talk about. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, like, with everything that's gone on from last week bleeding into this week, to sit down and talk about a weekly show with NXT, even if it had been good, I mean, I would have just done it and then we would do what we're doing right now. But,
exactly.
We've reached a point now where what's going on in wrestling is overshadowing what goes on any one particular show. Now, that goes for NXT, Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, Rampage when it gets here, Impact, anything. Like, I'm probably going to watch Impact after we're done recording because there's a really good trios match on that show.
Been building that for a while.
But I would feel like with the amount of crap that's going on right now and the amount of names that are floating around, it really does feel bizarre to sort of focus on like 1-2 hour bit of television rather than talking about the bigger scope, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I get that entirely.
So let's dig in and say what I probably should have at least said something about last week or over the course of last weekend or whatever, but I was busy getting sunburned on a boat, so that's fun.
Hey, at least you got out for a bit, you know?
Now let's talk about an issue that we can talk about. You mentioned you'll bring it up, and every single person from every single angle has something to say about it. Good, bad, indifferent, creative, foretelling, whatever. The release of Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. I mean, WWE never did right by him. They how many times have they had something great with Bray where he should have been this ultimate, optimal top guy, and then they just kind of were like, whatever, and they made him lose continually. And when he didn't lose, he went ahead and lost some more, but in just some weird fashion. Like that was pretty much how it all broke down. Even my cat's upset that Bray never got treated right. But honestly, all joking
your
aside,
cat meow Wyatt?
Yeah, pretty much. And Rhonda would still yell at the cat.
We'll get to Rhonda because that's definitely going to be a part of this conversation. Because
I figured it would be.
I'm going to do the super unpopular thing and agree with Rhonda, but we will get there when we get there.
I did as well, so we'll get there. But yeah, I just genuinely was disappointed because they handed over his gimmick already. I mean, he was already buried, and I get why he's upset and why he's just kind of, he had enough of the fans being like, oh, they ruined you, and oh, they,
Mm-hmm.
I would be pretty upset if backstage they said he became difficult to work with, and we knew that he was willing to put people over because it didn't matter how many times he lost. So long as the story was good with him, that's all he cared about. I mean, he literally sprinkled in one promo.
Oh, yeah, he did that big long thing where if you looked at all of his promos, you got like one line for every promo.
Yeah, for years built into this thing that turned into The Fiend's premiere. Like crazy that he had that kind of forethought and foresight and, in idea in mind. The whole thing is just, he likes his stories. It's incredible, and I'm all about, those type of long-term storytelling. But when he faced Cena, he should have won. When he faced The Undertaker, Taker already lost the year before. Why did he have to lose?
Yep.
I mean, so many times at WrestleMania he lost, and he lost and lost and lost and lost. And then they switched the gimmick up, and he has a great debut, which you were there for, as you know, against Finn Balor.
Oh, yeah.
And totally, absolutely incredible,
The decapitation stunning of Finn Balor.
Yeah, the neck break, all of it was great. And
see, right from jump, though, they did the neck break thing, and that was the start of the criticism of that character from certain corners of the internet.
Yeah.
because that was, and you know, for a show
too far apparently.
Well, I don't think it's too far, but you have to look at it from the perspective of, and I'm not being an apologist here, I'm just trying to see it from all the angles. For a show that so heavily pushes itself as a family show, for a show that so heavily pushes itself as a kid-friendly show.
Yeah, to suddenly have this out of nowhere felt.
Yeah. Like, and I'm going to give them credit here, AEW could do that because they've never pretended to be the cartoon Sunday morning wrestling show. Now, I don't know why they're having the cartoon Sunday wrestling show at 11 p.m. on a Monday, but
none of us do.
But
none of us are.
I find
positive.
It's something that I've tried to put into words for a while now when it comes to the releases in general. But I think it sort of brought it to a point for me with Wyatt, just because there's so many things. It's not as simple.
That went wrong because look at how many times they killed him. I mean, dead in the water.
But I'm not even strictly making this like let's dump on WWE. I mean, there is a fair share of that. But I'm saying
that weighed on his mental, strength, and I understand why it became such an issue because how many times can you lose before losing your mind? I don't. They said he was difficult to work with, and I don't think that's ever the case.
That's true. But I just mean Wyatt's whole situation, not specifically like him versus WWE, but like in the story of everything that's gone on with Wyatt. I think there's so many dimensions to it that it's worth like looking in all the directions. But when somebody gets let go, there's a bunch of reactions that come out depending on what way people are looking at things.
Yeah,
and I think
why it happened.
But I think they're all valid because you can get, like, as far as reactions go, you get the immediate reaction of, oh well, WWE's dumb.
Yeah, shouldn't have happened.
You get a Wyatt fan reaction.
Great.
You get a Wyatt fan reaction that's like, oh, he's probably happy to be out of there. You can have the reaction of, oh, look,
he didn't want to be fired. He didn't want to lose his job. We found that out directly after.
But I mean, there is the argument to be said that even if it wasn't what he wanted, maybe it'll open the door for something better. But like you can get the spectrum of, oh, look at that, WWE.
Absolutely.
WWE.
I just hate it when people immediately go, oh, he's better off. Well, no one wants to lose their job and have this uncertain.
Well, no. Some people that have gone and requested definitely did want to lose their job.
No, okay, but yes, those are the people asking to be fired. But most of the people that were let go, the Iconics, and so many others that were just surprise, you're fired. Aleister Black, Zelina Vega. There was quite a few recently that have just been, hey, you're out of here. Yeah, for every Andrade, there's 15, future endeavors because of budget cuts.
Yeah.
So Bray included, he was very shocked that he was let go.
Yeah, and I will say this is where I get super unpopular. So I will separate myself from Jake before I say this. I will say I am not one of the people that goes on the "I hate you if you're rich" thing. So I will say everybody that's like, oh, they could have kept Bray. They've got all kinds of money. Like saying a company or a person or a group of people has a bunch of money doesn't mean the person that you like is entitled to it.
Exactly.
And that's I know that's not a popular take. It's the same as,
Oh, but Spaz, he was number one in merch. What are they doing? Clearly
they
knew that.
For sure.
They knew that.
No, I'm not saying it's not dumb. Don't get me wrong. But it's just, there are those arguments that slip into the cliches of, if you're rich, you're probably an asshole. Ted DiBiase, Vince McMahon, Donald Trump, Jeff Bezos with the cock rocket. But, like, you know what I mean? I can't, but for me personally, just because I refuse to slip into that, oh, that person has something that I don't, therefore I should not like them. And I think they do that to companies as well, because, well, the argument for they should have let them stay is because, well, I like them, and that company has money, therefore the guy that I like deserves their money. That's not an argument that I can get behind. I can be bummed that he's gone. I can be bummed that when I turn on Monday Night Raw, one of the few things that was actually entertaining me on that 3-hour mess is not going to be there. Absolutely. Yeah. But I'm not going to translate it into this person, because I like them, is entitled to your money. Now that being said, but like as I said, the point I was trying to make
my point was like I hope Bray eventually can find peace, because they've done him wrong for so long that he really deserves to finally be somewhere where his creative mind can be rewarded.
Well, this is the thing, right? Your ultimate, because this is the next range of reactions. Okay, I hope he's okay. I hope he's got people around him supporting him in this weird, awkward time. I hope this isn't further affected his mental health.
Because he just got cleared to return to wrestling 4 days before. They come up with a creative plan for his return, or at least starting to talk about ideas.
Yeah.
And then you're fired.
Oh yeah. But the thing is, like, and everybody's like, oh well, I hope he winds up somewhere good. I would even backtrack that idea. Make the question, okay, he's not in WWE anymore. Does he still want to be involved in wrestling? If he still wants to be involved in wrestling, then yes, I hope somewhere else will take him on, that will take on his creativity, that will meld more with his creative ideas and whatever. If he doesn't, I hope he finds something 10 million miles away from wrestling that makes him happy.
He wants to be a comic writer or a story, whatever, so long as he is happy.
Well, look at all the different, I mean, he failed in MMA, but look at all the different pies that CM Punk put his fingers in after he left WWE. Like, he was doing the MMA stuff. I think he was doing commentary for something. He came back and did the Fox thing for a little bit. He's involved in the Thor comics, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I know he didn't help write AJ's books, but I'm sure he's been there, as the support system for her in her writing endeavors. So, like, whereas everybody else that wants him back on their TV screen as soon as they possibly can, I'm like, yeah, I understand that. But it's like, okay, back it up one step. Does he want to still be in wrestling? Okay, yes, he does. Okay, yes, then let's put him somewhere where he'll be treated properly. But don't make him stay in wrestling because you want to see him.
Yeah, just because you want that. Don't force your wants onto somebody else.
And
now,
I mean,
if he does want to return, and this is what he actually wants, then so be it. That's great.
And you never know, like, and it's been rumored about Braun Strowman. It's been rumored. It was the talk around Samoa Joe leaving and coming back. We had the Drake Maverick incident and whatever. Like, you never know. Like, he might take some time off, get his stuff sorted. Get himself to a different place in life. He might come back to WWE.
It's possible.
And there's people, much like the Zelina Vega thing, catfucker from New York, like, hates Zelina Vega now because she dared to come back to the WWE product. But, like people that are like, oh, I really want him to, AEW would really stoke his creativity. It's like, make sure you're not doing that from the perspective of, I really want AEW to have a win, so Bray go over there.
Yeah.
Because then you go from being supportive to something else.
Exactly.
As I say, like, the ultimate bottom line, like, the guy's got to be happy, the guy's got to be healthy, like, the guy's got, he's put his stuff out there about mental health and not so much saying that he's been bullied, but just in general, like, hey guys, don't be shitheads.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
much. He's been very high praising of his kids and his wife and his family and all those types of things, and
and how difficult it was for him to deal with all of this, and I get it.
And that's that's the first thing you want to know. Like, we want to know the stuff that's none of our business as fans.
We always do. That's what we're interested in.
But we want, like, even from a positive perspective, right? Like, we want to think that somebody that's entertained us, that we appreciated, that we feel was wronged, and we want to stand up for, we want to think that they've got good people around them to catch them.
Yeah, to make things better.
Yeah. And it sounds like he does from the little bit that he's put out on social media, the little bit that people have shared around. But it's weird, man, because you can have, and what I was trying to say a second ago, and I wasn't wording it very well, you can have a spectrum of reactions that go from one end, where, obviously some people just want to, like, shit on WWE, to say, like, oh, they just discarded him like garbage. And on the other side of that spectrum is, oh, well, they finally set him free. It's about time. And I'm like,
exactly.
You get both of those that's such a wide spectrum of reaction. There's and then there's the person that is trying to play the Bray Wyatt fan when really they're playing the AEW. Well, logically he's gonna go to AEW because they're the place. And I'm like, okay, so you like AEW?
Yes,
good for you.
That's what you want. But what if he wants to become a writer? What people immediately, he has to be in the Dark Order because of his history with Brody Lee, and it has to happen this way. And this is what
I would love. You know what I would love to hear, and I think Matt Hardy is transitioning into this a little bit. Imagine Bray Wyatt still in wrestling, but as a creative writer.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too, right? And here's something, because WWE is a big show. And AEW is a big show. Impact, as much as they're putting on some pretty decent shit right now, they're still a relatively small show. They're operating this is going to sound condescending, but they're operating sort of within their means right now.
Yeah,
I think it would be so different and unique, and this is me saying what I think should happen, so I'm a hypocrite. It's fine. I would love to see him pop up in Impact. Because it's got that smaller, intimate, like, sort of back to NXT feeling. And
it would work. I get that, but I don't think they see it that way.
I don't think so either, but like, if anywhere, and I'm doing what I just told other people not to do, but if there's any wrestling company that sort of opens its door to other worlds, other lores, like, they've shot people, like they have zombies that didn't suck.
Yeah, they're not afraid to go that extreme.
They've got Sue Young and her 3 different personalities.
Yeah, and Decay, and they had the Hardys be the Broken Universe originally.
They started up like, not saying that Bray Wyatt still even has to stay as the same Bray Wyatt we have now, but we've seen that his creativity is far beyond a 20-by-20 ring and bell to bell.
Absolutely.
And if there's anybody sort of thinking outside the box, it is Impact. And I would love, and as I say, totally selfish on my part, and this is my 2 cents, hey, this is what I might do if I was talking to him. I would love to see him do something with Decay. I really would. Specifically because they're the only ones really on TV, or kind of on TV, that are doing the intergender thing. I would specifically love to see the interactions between any iteration of Bray Wyatt and Rosemary.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so many things that they can do with this, and I think there's a lot they can go off of, and I think there's a lot to offer there.
It is a shame in that sense.
I think AEW has the bigger audience, so that's obviously what they would go with. But
you know what,
like
though?
You said, if you're going in a quote unquote like perfect universe, I think he'd fit there probably a little bit better because of how lax they are with being serious.
But here's the thing, right? And this, again, me speaking totally out of turn. I think after being in WWE, which is the big show, no reference to Paul White, and so many people saying that he should go to AEW, which is the other big show, here's a guy that's been jerked around, and it's been speculated has had some mental health issues and all that sort of thing. I don't want to speculate too much because I want to be respectful, right? But if he's struggling with anything, and if he's trying to get back on his wrestling feet, he might benefit from a smaller audience. From a smaller,
it's possible.
From a smaller in-person audience to even a smaller, like, okay, how many people are watching it on, like, Twitch or whatever? Not putting, I hope people listening understand, I'm not putting down Impact, right? But, like, it would be the equivalent of, like, hey, I'm going to run the indie circuit. I'm going to pop up randomly with my lantern at if I was going to be selfish, at a Destiny show. Right? Check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. But like,
there we go. You got that.
As somebody that like has been in the big show, has had the most overwhelming WrestleMania type crowd, I got to imagine that like coming in to a smaller audience and getting that more intimate feel, and maybe having less stress because there's less eyes on you, or potentially being the guy to bring more eyes.
Yeah,
to Impact as well. Like there's a two-way street there. Now, I don't know. For all I know, he could end up in New Japan, like, which I don't know anything about, right? Or he could be a completely different character. He could be IRS 2.0 if he wants to, right?
Yeah, with the Rotunda family, with
but,
the Rotunda.
He
could literally do nothing and just stay home. And I'm guarantee he made a good amount of money with WWE.
Yeah, he has put several things out on social media. He has got the hashtag. I think it's either Wyndham Cult or Rotunda Cult.
Yeah, the Cult of Wyndham.
Yes, Cult of Wyndham. But yeah, like,
and that works.
But it's not. He's one of those guys that I think could work in a small indie, not indie, but like a small like Impact size show, or a small like I'm gonna keep saying Destiny because I'm selfish. But like I could see him like. Let me show you what.
It's selfish. It's just a good frame of reference.
Well, it's the one that's on the top of my mind because they put the thing up about Pete Dunne's contract almost being up.
Yeah, I know. That's
because he's their ex-champion, and
and that's something I'm genuinely curious about what's going to happen going forward.
See, I don't have anything on that. I literally found that out this afternoon. So
I heard briefs, about it, but nothing too extensive. Just that, it's coming up soon, and negotiations are underway.
Now, here's the last thing I want to say about the Wyatt thing, though, right? Because I call it Hall of Fame syndrome, and I don't just apply it to the Hall of Fame. But the year that
that's celebrity status.
No. The year that Edge went into the Hall of Fame, it became really obnoxious. Is everybody that year specific? I don't know whether I remember it specifically just because I'm such a big Edge fan, whether it was happening before and I just wasn't noticing. It was the social media reaction shooting down every inductee into the Hall of Fame. Well, why are they there? Because Savage and Owen aren't.
Yeah, so-and-so aren't.
And we're getting a huge version of that on the back of Wyatt being released. Because Wyatt getting released is a Vince or one of Vince's underlings decision. I was going to say solution. That doesn't sound right at all. The people that I have heard are responsible for Bray Wyatt leaving. John Cena.
Yeah, ridiculous. But
Goldberg.
Nick Khan seems to be the most likely.
Yeah, Nick Khan is the one that is making the decision. But John Cena, Goldberg, Lesnar, who's not even back.
Yep, what a waste.
Eva Marie.
Feed me more.
Doudrop. And the last one, and I'm sorry, I'm biased because I'm a huge fan of her. The amount of people out there that are blaming Alexa Bliss.
Yeah. Oh, and she had to go private on Twitter, and I'm like,
She went private on Twitter, and everybody's saying that like she's asking for her release now.
No, she's not.
All right, well.
I mean, you know better, but that's about as fun as going to the sewers to collect feral rats' testicles, you know? Just because my father made me do it as a pastime doesn't mean it was enjoyable.
All right.
You know, I'm telling you, there's no reason to go after Alexa. She wasn't the one saying, "Oh, give me Bray Wyatt's gimmick. I like this." She was paired up with him. You even heard by her response. They had great chemistry. Her favorite times were working with Bray, and she wishes none of this ever came to be. And she wishes she could have, still had the chance to work with him. And that we knew that WWE the problem was Bray owned the copyright. So they wanted to put it on Alexa, because if they change it ever so slightly, now guess what? They own it, and they get all the money instead of just some of the money. So now Alexa can still, be super popular with this Fiend gimmick, which she has been repeatedly, and we've seen her, be very requested as far as cameos and things like that go.
Yeah. And I love the idea put out by, and my favorite person in what culture is Michael Sidgwick, because that guy can go fuck himself. I don't like Alexa Bliss. So what I'm going to do, because I'm a totally logical, sane, rational person, I'm going to call anybody that likes Alexa Bliss a pedophile.
Oh, Jesus. Because, that's really, because she's turning into a little kid. No, she's supposed to be young, but it's childlike innocence, not...
Like creepy kids from a horror movie, because that's what the Fiend is. And here's the thing. Here's where we might disagree. Here's where we might disagree. The whole ideology of, they passed on the Fiend to Alexa Bliss. Well, that doesn't really work, at least to my mind, because she was this character side by side with the Fiend. Right?
Exactly. So they just allowed her to take over.
She was another sidekick. She would and now, if I want to be really open-minded, does that suck because I think Alexa Bliss is an awesome wrestler who could definitely go out there on her own and be her own character? Yes, but that's a different conversation to have at a different time. But if you want to say that somebody that was created in the same spooky realm as the Fiend was stealing his gimmick, then I'm sorry, you have to say that Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, Braun Strowman, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan all stole his gimmick. And that's not anything that they're going to do.
And even Shane McMahon did some stuff with Braun that could be considered, and then everything with the swamp and kiss my ass. That's not. Yeah.
And okay, what was the best thing about the no audience WrestleMania?
And Well, hold on really quick before I lose this thought. The one thing is that they brought in Alexa because of Braun. It wasn't even for Bray. It was to tell the story of Braun being in love with Alexa Bliss when they were Team Little Big and all that BS was going on with the Mixed Match Challenge.
Yep.
And they told that during the Swamp Fight, so that was their story. So WrestleMania, what was the best part, you said?
Yeah. Well, the two best
show
parts.
Was really good. Absolutely.
The which?
The kickoff show match with the women's tag titles.
I meant the two cinematic matches.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Undertaker Styles thing was different, but like the Firefly Funhouse, right? So John Cena
of John Cena, yeah.
John Cena stepped into the Fiend's realm. So did John Cena rip off? So did John Cena rip off the Fiend? No, of course not. It's one of those. Like, Alexa Bliss falls into the same category as Charlotte Flair. Like, you're just not allowed to like her because she's white and blonde and a bunch of other things. So
but the
this is
only
another.
Got involved with her and kidnapped her, Spaz, because of. Look at that. Yeah, and that's what it comes down to. So.
But it's like here's all these people that already don't like Alexa Bliss, and I get it. People want to be woke and all that kind of shit. So you're not allowed to like Charlotte. You're not allowed to like Alexa Bliss. Not allowed to like Mandy Rose. Not allowed to like Dana Brooke. I get it. But here's this thing where you're taking Bray Wyatt's life thing that has just happened that's probably rocked him to the core, and you're using it as a cheap shot against somebody who didn't do anything.
Yeah, who literally just wants to entertain people.
The day that the firing was announced, one of the things that happened before Alexa Bliss shut down her Twitter was there were angry fans tweeting her pictures of bacon.
That's
fucked up.
That is messed up.
That's fucked up.
Because it's just cruel. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is it a line too far? No. I get what they're going at, and I'm still not going to censor people to say things. But is it cruel? Absolutely.
Oh no, people have. I'm not going to censor people. People have the right to say whatever they want. But I also have the right to look at that and be like, dude, you're fucked up.
Yeah, you're an asshole. There is no need for that. That is rotten. To
what would no? But here's the thing. Because wrestling fans are special. Some wrestling fans out there are vile as shit. Let's be real about that for a second.
There's bad people everywhere. We know that.
Right, but I mean,
but wrestling
fans bring out a special kind of weirdness. So, because my worry is now, and I'm not sitting here trying to pretend like I'm the protector for all these wrestlers, because that's weird too. But I'm thinking okay, she just lost her pet. You're going to do the bacon thing. What if what she just lost was a family member? Are you going to send pictures of her family with no head or some fucking garbage? You're gonna do the Kathy Griffin thing with the paper mache Trump head,
Yep. See, we both had the same idea there.
That's fucked up too. I don't care how much you don't like Trump. That was fucked up.
Oh yeah, that was terrible. His kids saw that.
Yeah. Well, that's my thing. That's my thing too. As much as you don't like, as much as people don't like Trump, whatever. I'm not getting into that conversation. He's still got kids that turned on the TV that day.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and I mean, Alexa Bliss doesn't have
tied up and dead because. Yeah. He's going to get beheaded because he said some stuff. No matter what.
And then she was the victim when she got in trouble for that. Whereas in other countries, you'd be in jail or you'd be dead.
You'd be beheaded.
Doing that to the world leader and whatever. Now, I will say it's not the same thing because Alexa Bliss doesn't have kids that are going to see it. But are we now saying that that's okay because she doesn't have kids?
Yeah, exactly.
It's super fucked up. Whereas people are going to be all righteous. Oh, I was just doing it in the defense of Bray Wyatt. I'm yeah, but let's go back into your Twitter feed and you were harassing her last week too, a weirdo. Not. And I'm not going to name JD from New York by name or anything, but.
But it's you're not being genuine at all. You're literally adding fuel to the fire for nothing. Even when JD was attacked, that was wrong. By Alexa.
It was, but he was also making several.
Never been attacked, and his people could make their criticism towards him, which is fine.
Yeah.
But going after his parents, grandparents, and all these type of things.
Oh yeah, no, fuck no.
Come to that.
Fuck no, go after him because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. But people take it a bridge too far every time, and they did it with Alexa. They did it with every time they have to. Oh, I'm a badass because I'm a keyboard warrior, and I've dealt with it too, and it's all right, your words only do so much, but when it gets to that personal level where it really starts to affect your life, that's the issue. That's the problem.
He's also really short.
Alexa can handle, hearing some mean words on the screen, but when it starts to affect her fiance's touring schedule because they're trying to get him canceled from, appearing at certain dates by labeling him a pedophile, that's bad.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing I will say that is sort of a saving grace a little bit. Like, Alexa Bliss, as well as Zelina Vega as well, right? They're pretty short, but I'm pretty sure they can still look down on JD. It's fine. Anyways, I wasn't gonna make this a podcast about that piece of shit, but he's just one example of the weirdos that will now use this new thing. Oh, now I got a new thing to stab at this person I don't like with. Like, I got to go back to myself. Like, everybody knows what
seemingly never ending.
Everybody knows what I think of Sasha Banks, right? I've been pretty blunt about.
Yeah, we've all been vocal, certainly.
Yeah, I've been pretty vocal about what I think of Sasha Banks. I've done a video with you on it. I've done a video with Guapo on it at different points in the Sasha Banks story.
Yeah, but
I've never said, I'm really just picking on Sasha Banks because I'm defending Charlotte or something like that. I'm
jealous of her success But the thing was, you never went after Mercedes.
I am jealous of her forehead, though. She's got me beaten in the forehead game.
That she does. That she's gotten hook, line, and sinker.
Anyways,
but we never went after her. It was her character, her in-ring ability, but it wasn't like her out of her
complete lack of work ethic. Anyways, moving swiftly on, and we will say from somebody that just left WWE to somebody who could be leaving NXT.
Yes. Interestingly enough,
Adam Cole.
And again, they let this slip because they just fired, I forget his name's not in front of me, but the guy that handles all of these contract, the
one that let Aleister Black's contract slip?
No, not him, but the one that was actually in charge of making sure that people's contracts don't expire.
Yeah.
Well, they fired him, and then lo and behold, oh crap, we forgot to, have Adam Cole locked in before, so yeah, he's essentially, put back in until then, but it's not a definitive answer for him to stay.
I was going to say, basically, the contract, as I understand it, and you probably have more updated stuff on the news than I do, because you and Joe do more news-specific stuff, but to the best of my understanding, his contract has already run out, and he's basically operating on a handshake until SummerSlam.
Yeah, it ended at Great American Bash, and then he extended it to SummerSlam, as you said. But once we get to SummerSlam, I'm not sure where we go from there. I mean, what's going to happen?
But I heard there's no new contract that takes him up to SummerSlam. I think he's, as I say,
kind of like a handshake agreement that he'll get paid until SummerSlam, basically.
Yeah.
From what I'm getting at, it's not an official contract, but he's not going to screw them over and just take off at that point. But what does he have left to do? Besides, I don't want him to go to the main roster either. I get that, but realistically, what does he have left to accomplish?
I don't have a good answer for that. I don't. Right?
Because main roster is about the only thing we have left for him, sadly, and I don't want it either. You know that, but I don't know what else we do with him.
If it was more,
he did everything in NXT. He's, another title run. Well, what do we accomplish with that? He's put people over. He's beating people. Like, most of it just feels.
The problem is my reason for not wanting to lose Adam Cole is I'm a fan of Adam Cole. I like seeing him on my TV screen, etc., etc., etc. Right?
Yeah, I always like watching him wrestle.
Even if he's not in the title picture, even if he's not in a particular story. He's one of the wrestlers, and I hate to say it, but there's not many right now. He's one of the stories that he's one of the wrestlers, that just by virtue of him being there, the show feels bigger.
Yeah, just his inclusion makes it a big deal. Yeah. And see, this is why the main roster really screwed over Karrion Kross, because I went from being super excited that Samoa Joe was back and going to have this amazing feud/match that builds into Karrion Kross dropping the title. And now, because he's been beaten twice, once by Keith Lee and then again in a minute and 40 beforehand by Hardy, I really don't have that same compelling drive. And that was kind of my issue with Adam Cole. They've done a great job with him on NXT, but we know he goes to the main roster. He's cannon fodder. They're just going to bury him like they did Ricochet and like they did Black and like they did everybody else.
But see, here's where I'm going to draw the line, though, because, they fucked up Karrion Kross. We could do a whole podcast just on how they fucked up Karrion Kross.
Yes.
But by fucking up Karrion Kross, they've also kind of fucked up Joe's in-ring return, because he's returning against Kross, who nobody cares about anymore.
And if you say the audience doesn't care about it, that's BS, because they had to, reshoot the event.
Yep. But, I mean, even before that, though, I enjoyed Karrion Kross on NXT. I like the character. I like the ambience that he. Fuck it, I didn't even pronounce that right. The ambiance.
Ambiance.
Yeah, the ambience. The
ambulance.
The BRAY community. Anyways, but no, like I enjoyed him as a character on my screen. I like the guys that have that little hint of like being. I hate to use the word, but like a little bit goth, a little bit dark, a little bit creepy, a little bit whatever. Like everybody knows, like that's completely my brand, right? So as a character on the screen, I enjoyed him a whole lot as a character presentation, whatever. He doesn't scrape the surface of, hey, our show has Adam Cole on it. Like to me, like he's a larger than life character in the moment. Like he's pulled straight from a comic book, and I love that element, right? I gave Karrion Kross more credit than most people did at various points, right?
Yes.
But I will not say that he moved he did not make NXT feel bigger.
No, he
went in there and made himself feel big, which is an entirely other important thing. But he made himself feel big. He didn't make the show feel big, and Adam Cole has that. Finn Balor, once he figured out his Prince character, had that as well. Samoa Joe announcing that he's coming back to active competition does that.
Yes.
The other
and
people,
funny enough that we're getting the Fiend, the Demon coming back.
Yeah. But I will say
that he said that in NXT, the Demon was a step backwards. He gets to the main roster and knows that the only way he's getting TV time is he breaks out that Demon.
Yeah, and I get that, and you know what, WWE.
Because that's the only thing that makes him stand out in the main roster, really.
Well, that's true. Plus, WWE, the main roster specifically, does go for the bombastic visual presentation, and the Demon is made for that. Let's be real.
Exactly.
So he is playing WWE's game at that point as well.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it's partly, like, this is how I'm going to get attention, but it's also, like, this is what they do. Let me show them that I can do it, too. Like, he's playing the WWE's game better than most people that are sitting in catering right now. Yeah. Again, like, somebody...
It sucks because some people are like, oh, he got screwed over by Cena, but I think that's going to lead to something. I hope, anyways.
I hope it's not a long 6-month feud with Sad Corbin. Can we just say that?
Not either, but it could be.
But like, and it sucks because there's a lot of people that I like, and you know, when you start talking about who they fucked up on the main roster, it's a never-ending thing, right? Like they fucked up Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode, even when he was in NXT properly, didn't elevate the whole show the way Adam Cole did. Ricochet, I could watch, even though people got sick of it, I could watch the Ricochet Morrison matches once a week because they're a lot of fun. Ricochet's fucking crazy.
Yeah, he's a great talent.
But like
But he's not great on the mic, and he's not overly compelling as a character. He's just fun to watch.
He's spectacular. He's making himself look great. He's not necessarily elevating the whole show. And there's two things that make the Adam Cole thing different than just about everybody else, right? Is NXT losing Adam Cole makes me...
It's crucial.
Adam Cole leaving NXT is the first thing that I've heard in a while that makes me genuinely concerned for that brand.
Yeah.
Because, what did we say? We said it for a while. It started with that...
He's one of the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. Well, it started with that, what was it, the Iron Man Fatal 4-Way match, and we basically pointed out the 4 pillars of NXT. You got Ciampa, you got Gargano, you got Balor, you got Cole. Cole goes to AEW, and Balor stays on SmackDown. And both Gargano and Ciampa have had their moments in the sun, and they have opted to boost the mid in completely different ways, may I say. But they've both come down and worked their asses off to boost up the mid card, which is great, and which I don't think gets enough attention.
No, but they do. They certainly have put their time in to get more than just themselves over. Right.
Ciampa and Thatcher are a fun tag team. I really hope they stay that way because Thatcher on his own is hit and miss, but Ciampa's usually a hit. And Gargano and The Way are one of... We're not going to talk about the fact that Theory might be going to the main roster too. We're just going to put that to one side. But The Way is one of the best things on NXT. Neither one of those are main event concerns. Even though Gargano just recently had a title match, like, we knew he wasn't going to win. Like, I thought it would have been cool, but it's not going to happen. So where are your pillars?
Yeah, exactly.
like, can you imagine if Cole went to AEW? Because, like, there's no debate there. Like, where as much as I said with Wyatt, like, let's not say what the guy should and shouldn't do. Like, if Cole leaves WWE, he's going to AEW. Like, there can't really be another.
Yeah, there can't be anything else. I mean, his
or like he'll be like the guy that floats through the open door. Like, he'll show up on like New Japan and AEW, or he'll do whatever, right? Like Bullet Club stuff, right? Right. But like, if they lost Cole and Balor, like, Cole would hurt NXT. Losing Balor wouldn't exactly hurt SmackDown, but it wouldn't help.
Yeah, it's not a good thing for them to not have him.
Yeah.
But he's not moving the needle either.
So here's what I'm saying. Like, it's going to be really impactful because I'm selfish. NXT, even though they've sucked in the past 2 weeks, is still my brand. It's fine. It's the first thing in a while. It's the first single piece of news in a while.
Do you think they keep Adam Cole? Does he stay with them? Do they get Pete Dunne? Like, what do you think happens here? Or does Adam Cole want to go on to bigger and better things? Because not that NXT isn't big, but
yeah, no, I know.
I mean, really.
Oh no, I'm thinking about
everything he can.
I'm thinking about the show more than I'm thinking about what good they can do for him. I want to see, honestly, before.
Like, what good could he add to the show at this point? I'm not sure he adds much anymore because of.
The last cool thing that I saw him do, other than his feud with O'Reilly, which is fine, we know what we're going to get out of those two. Like, when he put out the open challenge and Carmelo Hayes came out.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that every
week. Bronson Reed, and he can't.
The Bronson Reed thing, I would love to see them run back because that match was rushed.
Yes, but you also don't want him to constantly get put over, but also to go ahead and beat everybody either. Like, it's a difficult equation there. So he should become like more of an attraction if he's going to stay in NXT, I feel.
Yeah,
but I'm
maybe.
not so sure that he resigns because I know he's critical of the main roster's booking. We've heard that on his live stream.
Well, he's one of the guys that's. Isn't he one of the ones along with Ciampa that said, if you try to put me on the main roster, I'll quit? Or am I imagining that?
Him. I know that Ciampa definitely was against going back up.
Yeah.
He was injured, he said, for no reason, and, Ciampa was already having a bad neck at that time, and Vince basically wanted him to go out there and bust his tail in these tag matches, and he did, and he got hurt. So it was an unnecessary risk, basically.
And the thing is, like, and it's such a secondary show at this point. If they were on a similar footing, and if he was agreeable to it, honestly, because that would be a big part of it as well. If they were equal shows, right, I would say send him away for 6 months and let him feud with somebody in NXT UK. If that show was presented on an equal footing,
go elsewhere. Yeah, I would agree. So
because that would be WWE's own internal version of going around the territories. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I said it to you before, and we were kind of joking about Destiny. Check it off the bucket list again. It would be amazing if WWE decided, as they were rumored to 2 years ago, that there was going to be an NXT Canada. Now, that would be a bit ridiculous because we're all in North America and half the really big names from NXT have been from Canada. But, like, imagine, like, that means that opens the door to, like, Adam Cole showing up at a Destiny show and challenging our champion, which right now is still Josh Alexander.
Yeah.
Because this is one of the people have heard me say this before, but one of the high points of me getting a chance to go to Destiny shows, which I'm going to SummerSlam weekend. It's going to be good. We got No Way Jose. All right.
Can't be disappointed there.
But no, the benefit of me going to those shows is they've got working relationships with NXT, NXT UK, WWE, Impact, AEW, ROH. Like, they've got pretty damn good working relationships with everybody because one of the guys running it is Santino.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I'd be selfish. I'd be like, okay, cool, do NXT Canada and lend Adam Cole to us so we can have a match. And that's just me going off on my own little tangent. But to the point...
Because this could be something decent, but...
And I mean, like,
do we need another Fed though? Do we need another?
No,
NXT
we don't.
At this point, so
we don't. We don't
like,
need
if it was just a non-televised, or only you use them only like at, hey, we're only going to feature them for a match at each takeover. I could see that working better.
Or look at all the other Feds right now that put their content on WWE Network.
Yeah, that would be.
If you gave Cole like a flex contract where it's like not specifically NXT, but it's not main roster, let him float down to Evolve and fight whoever the Evolve champion is right now. Or
wasn't Evolve done for? Or
I've heard that, but at the same time, like, we thought the second NXT show was going to be like NXT Evolve, and nothing ever developed out of that. But there's other Feds that I'll be honest, I haven't watched any of it, but like there's other smaller groups that they work with that I'm sure, like, put Cole, like, it's not much bigger than Full Sail, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just let him dip his toe in, let him be maybe a creative consultant, maybe let him work with a couple of guys, and he's got a brand new, like, he goes to Evolve and creates himself a whole new group, comes back to NXT 6 months later to fuck with the other 3 guys that used to be in Undisputed Era who have totally forgotten about him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, I know you're not going to do anything outside of WWE, but there's so much flex that because they're such a huge company, there's so much flex that they can do within their own structure if they just decided to, like, not be such tight assholes.
They only didn't suck so much. Yeah.
But anyways, I rambled long on that. But like the one as I was trying to say, the one half of this is if he leaves, I'm worried about NXT. The other half of it is if he leaves, it's going to be more impactful as a whole, because as of all the other guys, Bray Wyatt included, and you know, Aleister Black, now Malachi Black, and all these other guys, the Revival that had to do the Usi Hot and things like this, who all have horror stories about how they were treated and booked and whatever. Looking at, like, strictly kayfabe NXT storyline, from the day he debuted at TakeOver, attacking the NXT champion, which I think was Drew McIntyre at the time.
I believe so, because that was when Red Dragon, you know, they formed the UE and everything.
Yeah, because Red Dragon, I didn't know either of them, and they'd both had, like, individual matches on the 2 episodes of NXT leading up to that takeover. We didn't see Adam Cole until that night when the attack was done. Now, from that moment, from that kind of introduction to now, what does he really have to complain about? He's the he's the rare case. But they've really treated him like a star from the moment he got in there till now. So if he gets that, while so many other people get nothing, and still makes the decision to walk away, that's going to be a punch towards WWE that I don't think they've really felt yet.
Yeah, I could see that being a big deal too.
Or the people that are still in WWE that are getting nothing, that saw him get everything, might look up at him and feel like he's ungrateful. Like, hey, I could have taken your spot if you were going to walk away.
Certainly could have.
Yeah.
No doubt
now,
about it.
I don't want to pit the wrestlers against each other. That's not the point of that. But just somebody who has never really had very much time without a belt around his waist, has never spent that much time away from the main event, or at least a storyline that could have been the main event, for somebody who led the group that basically was the DNA of NXT for so long.
Yeah.
For that person to walk away is going to have a ripple effect.
Yeah, who else goes with him? Who makes more demands? Who, you know, that's going to have a big deal going forward.
I
guarantee it. I guarantee, like you said, that's going to have some sort of ripple effect that'll really affect people.
And, you know, Britt Baker did the interview where she said, oh, don't be silly, Adam's not going to come to AEW just because I'm here. And it's like, okay, you doth protest too much.
Yes, exactly.
And I get it. For the fans that know all these guys from a certain period of time, it's going to be a huge homecoming type feel for the elite, super elite, Bullet Club, NWO version 25 million. Like, I get that, and for those fans, you're going to have that cool moment and whatever, and I guess I'll try to do the, okay, it's not for me, but I'm happy for you thing, but no. Like, I'm going to be selfish and be like, my show's fucked. Like,
that's
can you imagine?
The side effect of all of it is that then it comes down to this disaster, essentially.
Can you imagine this in a very short couple of months? Andrade, Aleister Black, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Bray Wyatt, Adam Cole.
Yeah, I just said this recently. It's incredible to think that it really, comes down to look how much they procured. And I made the joke earlier that everybody has that, oh, look, NXT is really AEW's training ground.
Yep.
Everrise included now is 2.0, but it's happening more and more and more. And I really feel like they just have no limit at this point as far as their spending goes. And that's going to be effective for AEW because Tony Khan is absolutely just going to be able to go ahead and get and take as he needs. I think that's going to be his plan. He's going to procure as much talent as possible, and then from there, it's on, baby. Like, he's just going to keep, he's going to use everyone as loss leaders. So he'll get everybody he can, and then whoever else he doesn't want, instead of getting rid of them, he'll just let their contracts expire. So he doesn't lay anybody off or fire anybody. He just lets their time run out, and then from there,
but don't kid yourself as well. Tony Khan is not going to get anywhere near the amount of shit for letting people go that WWE does.
No, he wouldn't, but he'll also, I don't think, fire anybody. I think he's just going to continually let their contracts expire so he could be the good guy, That's it.
And the thing is, though, and, like, I don't even, like, I said Bray Wyatt because of the decay stuff because it seems like it's super obvious, right? I really do wish, because I do want them to spring up as, like, the third, even though they're working with AEW, I really do want Impact to spring back up and try to be that third, smaller, like, ECW of this generation. I don't think anybody would, but look at those names. Adam Cole, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Bray Wyatt, Aleister Black, Andrade. Those 6 names. You're telling me 1 or 2 of those swinging by and spending like 6 months in Impact couldn't, like, drastically propel them?
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't save their company or...
I mean, we did our podcast a while ago of like, hey, Daniel Bryan's gone from WWE. Who do we want to see him fight? And one of the main ones that I put in there was not Cedric Alexander, Josh Alexander. There we go.
Yes,
they must be related. The family resemblance is uncanny. But imagine, like, and I think if it was anybody, it would be Daniel Bryan. Of all those guys, Daniel, like, hey, we've got this working relationship with Impact. We'd love to see them get on, like, a higher tier like us, like, not in a condescending way, but like in a genuine, like, helping type way. Can you see Daniel Bryan going down to Impact and just having some cracking matches with Cedric Alexander
and everybody?
Can you imagine?
Realistically, he should be able to. Can you picture a bad match?
No.
Daniel Bryan with anybody? I mean, that's the thing.
Here's the thing. What if we get the Daniel Bryan Kenny Omega match that everybody wants, but it's for the Impact title?
Just to throw people swerve and make it like, oh, you think you'll get
I'm thinking more so.
Really, you're not.
I'm saying more so. Like, if you want to help push an Impact pay-per-view.
Oh, absolutely, but it also
push Omega versus Danielson, I guess.
Yeah, Bryan Danielson. But what you get out of it is like, oh shit, I'll defend the AEW title, or I'll defend my title, and everyone thinks it's going to be the AEW title, and it ends up being the Impact title. Like, swerve people.
Yeah.
And the match everybody wants to see, and oh shit, he's going to defend.
And they try to play it off like Daniel Bryan's been screwed over, but really he takes it as the opportunity, like, hey, I'm going to go help Impact.
Yeah.
You can still take that other title and stay with your buddies on AEW. So he could, like, be in an AEW contract, and they could just loan him to Impact for like 6 months to have a run with, like, Trey Miguel.
Exactly.
Like, we're gonna go back into that video that we did a while ago, but like Sami Callihan. Oh, I still think Callihan. The worry would be like, please don't kill him.
Yeah.
Anyways,
there's a few options definitely available. So that's that. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what else is an option? Apparently, or you know what else is not an option? One thing that we've universally decided over AEW and WWE is apparently you can't make fun of Simone Biles.
That whole thing just is so ridiculous, honestly. The way it turned out, I mean, Tony Khan yet again throws his talent under the bus. We've seen him do it several times before.
But Charlotte too.
Yeah, I mean,
there's the added, we're gonna attack WWE because we're supposed to, and we're definitely going to attack Charlotte because we're supposed to.
That's okay when we do that, but, and that's the thing, it's all double standards, and the people that got upset about this don't really care. It's they're getting outraged.
Well, take a look at Simone Biles, there's a little bit of identity politics going on there, too. But,
absolutely, but... she said she wasn't in the proper headspace to not get injured or bring her team down. Realistically, she was in dead last for most of what happened after having a shakeup, and doesn't seem like she could stand the pressure. Okay, so give her a break and let her go ahead and take her time off. Yeah,
and I want to be clear.
She was also raped and sexually abused by Larry Nassar for most of it, so don't forget that too.
Before I get misquoted, I don't have a single bad thing to say about Simone Biles. Here's a little secret. I don't give a fuck about the Olympics.
Exactly.
Here's my thing. A, we shouldn't be having the Olympics because of COVID, and I could have a whole rant on that. But B, I've had a conceptual problem with the Olympics, forever. You want to know why I have a conceptual problem with the Olympics, and I'll do this in 10 seconds or less?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Say you do the 100-meter dash. There's 10 guys in a race. I don't even know how it works, whatever, right? Those 10 guys go for a race. Somebody wins. That guy gets the gold medal, right?
Yeah.
What does that gold medal mean?
That you're the best in said sport, supposedly.
Basically, well, if it's the 100-meter dash, it means you're the fastest guy in the world, potentially, right?
Yeah, in said category. Sport,
No. But see, here's the thing, though. The whole idea, I've got the gold medal in the 100-meter dash. I'm the fastest guy in the world. No, you're the fastest guy out of those 10 fucking guys.
Exactly, because there's so many people that couldn't get to the Olympics that could be better. Exactly, but
not even that. It's the fact that those same 10 guys could have the same race the next day and somebody else could win.
Oh yeah, exactly.
The fact that we have to go down to flash photography and don't get me wrong, people that have dedicated their entire life to these athletic pursuits and this is the pinnacle of achievement for them, I'm happy for them. On the external level, go succeed as much as you possibly can at your chosen sport. I got nothing against you. I just think
absolutely
theoretically, the Olympics is a bit of a joke. It is. So the whole Simone and all the other ridiculous, what do you mean I get disqualified from the race because I was on a bunch of drugs that I'm not supposed to be on? What do you mean I wore the wrong thing to the court?
I'm missing a testicle.
Oh my God. Jake, I hate the world so much. You have no idea.
Right? Oh, I'm with you. It's one of those days, especially. The world.
Although apparently Canada's gonna go for the gold in women's soccer. So hey,
there you go. That's a.
Sorry, for my friends in the rest of the world, for my friends in the rest of the world, other football.
Other football.
Football.
Real football? I don't know, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Anyways, I'll bring it back around. I just wanted to have my little rant on the Olympics. Neither one of them, and I'm sort of leaving out the Duke lacrosse thing because I'm not as familiar with the story, and I want to make a direct comparison.
I guess they were found innocent. I don't know the whole thing either. But the point is that it was just a silly rape joke. People are like, if you have to joke about rape to be a heel, then you've taken it too far. And I'm like, if anything's off limits, then everything's off limits. So none of it works then.
No, there is that. I get that, but there is going to come a point where you got to listen to your network that says, okay.
Yeah, the network said it, but not the
social media outlash, right?
Exactly.
But I wanted to, because the Simone Biles thing is a little bit more well known. I'm not going to say I incredibly know Simone Biles either, but the Duke lacrosse thing is really not a story I'm familiar with, so I respectfully going to step away from that. But they both made a joke about Simone Biles, right?
Yeah.
Except they didn't.
They really didn't.
Neither one of them made a joke about Simone Biles, made a joke about her mental health issues. Charlotte Flair was the cocky heel that put herself over and said, hey, I've been as upset as this person that's had real issues. So that's delusional heel putting herself over, putting her own sad struggle over in a fictional sense, and having the gall to compare it to this real person while never insulting her generically. And the other one is somebody saying, I'm going to beat you until your mental capacity is as bad as this real person is. And by doing that, both Max Caster... No, but by doing that, both Charlotte Flair and Max Caster are acknowledging the legitimacy of the real-life struggles of Simone Biles. So I don't even buy, like, their jokes that reference Simone Biles, neither one of them has made fun of Simone Biles. Yeah. Like, that's what we don't get. You can't even say the name. You can't.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you just said, you literally can't bring it up.
It's like the Gina Carano thing. Well, you compared them to Nazis. It's like, yeah, but I was talking about them. I wasn't talking about them. Yeah, but you said Nazis, so it's bad.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
I hate everybody. Jake, I hate everybody. I hate what our world is becoming. But I just think it's so funny that, on the one hand, Charlotte Flair got raked over the coals and WWE got raked over the coals because that's what rabid fans do, and because there's a bias against WWE. But then those same people took the, hey, we're AEW, we're the good guys, and you're sort of ruining our good guy vibe, and shuffled off, like, they shuffled them off.
While twisting their neckbeards and gleefully grinning. Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I've got a bit of a neckbeard. I've got called out on it, but I managed to not be an asshole. So there's that. But I think it's so bizarre, and wrestling social media is so bizarre in the sense that you can take these two people that made fun of a mentally ill person, except they didn't. They did the exact same thing, and they both get shouted down for the complete opposite reasons. We're going to shout down Charlotte Flair because we love AEW and everything that WWE does is bad. We're going to shout down Max Caster because we love AEW and you're making AEW look bad and you're, putting a ding in our armor. They did the exact same crime, quote unquote, and they got the exact opposite ends of the accusations. And I thought that is so, like, if mental gymnastics were an Olympic event, wrestling Twitter would win.
Yeah, absolutely, because mental gymnastics is a real sport, as you know, and that should be counted.
So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I read today, which makes me laugh incredibly. There are people out there right now petitioning the International Olympic Committee, or whatever it's called, or the official Olympic Committee, to make Magic the Gathering an Olympic event. So if Magic the Gathering can be an Olympic event, then the mental gymnastics performed on that cursed platform called Twitter should definitely be an Olympic event too.
I don't know, Spaz. There's some games and things that they have some contest, and I'm like, isn't that just kayaking? Like, isn't that just paddling a boat? Like, I don't know.
But you're still physically doing something.
You're still physically doing something. Yeah, no, I get that. But then when it comes down to it, then you see that, and I'm like, damn, that really is a sport compared to Magic.
And,
like, that's
and JD's disqualified because he fucked his cat.
Oh.
Anyways, so I'm gonna wrap that up. I just thought that was a bit ridiculous. I thought it was so. That's why I sort of removed the Duke Lacrosse thing.
Yes. I want to know your final 5-minute teaser here that you've been.
My final 5-minute teaser, right? After we've gotten over the Charlotte and Max Caster thing. Oh, she's gonna follow her dad to AEW and she's gonna bang Max Caster now on like the grave of Simone Biles. It's gonna be great. I'm a terrible person, and I'm going to hell, and I'll see you there.
Hey, I just want to make sure we have a bus ride there, because it is a long walk.
A stretch Volkswagen Beetle.
Damn straight.
Actually, I saw a thing earlier today. It was like a fake McDonald's ad, and it was a pickup truck, like a fully jacked up pickup truck with a smart car sitting in the back, and it was like, great. He got a toy in his Happy Meal.
I knew where you were going. Yep.
Okay, so I told you I was going to say something to you that I've never said before.
Yes.
What's my brand?
NXT, baby.
Now, in all the conversations that we've had, we've done the broad spectrum of all the things that are great in NXT usually. What's the best thing in NXT?
The women's division, hands down, usually.
So why am I going to sit here right now and tell you that I think Io Shirai should go to AEW?
Because I think that she would be beyond a star there. She would be a big fish in a much smaller pond, as where NXT, she's kind of accomplished all she can as well. I mean, I totally forgot that they were the women's tag champs. And her and Zoe Stark had this interesting promo, kind of, but it wasn't great either. So it was unique in the way they pulled it off.
See, you're being way too nice.
Yeah, I'm being diplomatic because I do enjoy some of what we got, but I knew you were. I'm
going another direction here. I think Io Shirai needs to leave NXT because I think they just accidentally scripted her as a racist.
Yeah, I mean,
because they started this thing, and it goes back to before this week.
Well, they did it to Zoe Stark too, because they were like, "Oh, you do you know each other?"
No. But here's the thing. Here's the thing though. Like in the one skit, yes. But if you take it back to how this all started, her second match was against Io Shirai. They earned a little bit of mutual respect, right?
Yep.
She wasn't really overly praising of her, like, quiet nod of respect, but that's all you're getting, right? They had a couple of tag matches before the tag team title scenario happened, and it's like, all right, I'll be your partner, but I don't really like you, right? And they won the championships, and then from that point on, here's Zoe Stark, who I said to you within her first couple of matches, they're putting a rocket on this girl.
Yeah, we knew that was coming. So.
And I think we agreed at the time. But ever since they've won the titles, they've Drake Mavericked her a little bit. Remember when the whole Drake Maverick Killian Dane thing was first starting out, and he was just like the hopeful, gee golly, babyface guy that was just trying to make a new friend. Don't do that shit with Zoe Stark.
No, but that's
and don't do it when
they gave us.
And don't do it after they've won the titles, because
why wouldn't they had that plucky, unlikely duo already do these kind of things beforehand? Like having them develop their relationship now feels such like an ass backwards attempt to write a story after it's already been told.
See, but here's my point though, right? Is that you could have developed something there. You could have developed that like Io Shirai, it's an anomaly that she's a tag team champion because she really doesn't get along with anybody, right? Like that's a story you can tell. I would buy that, right?
We all can kind of see why that works. Yeah.
Even though we've seen her get along very well with people, we've seen her be a tag team with other people. Kairi Sane, which is going to factor into this as well, right? So you've got Zoe Stark, who's trying to do the nice thing, trying to do the team thing, trying to suck up to her pretty much, losing credibility by the second, which really sucked because she's really good. I kind of, I know this is a really odd pairing. I would love to see Zoe Stark versus Layla Hirsch. I think that would be a really fun, not for anything, not for a title, not to main event, a pay-per-view or anything like that. Just somewhere random, put the two of them in a gym and let them have a match, because I think the match would be really good. But no, so you play out this story, right, where she doesn't really, she's playing off as really brusque and I don't get along with anybody, I don't have any caring for anybody, and she's trying to I'm going to chip away at my partner who's all grumpy and we're going to be friends and I'm Drake Maverick with a vagina. But then you get her and we should go out to dinner and we should bond and it's all very, it's making
all of a sudden she really cares
but it's Zoe Stark looking really pathetic. First of all, she's a brand new talent. Don't make her look pathetic. Second of all, she's carrying one of your fucking belts.
Well, they clearly don't care about any of the belts lately.
I want
those
belts.
Vince ruined that on the main roster, and it seems like since then they've just been like, well, whatever. These things are kind of useless now.
Okay. I know there's no real story because they just go from match to match to match. Put those belts on Catanzaro and Carter. At least we'll get some good matches out of it.
Yeah, exactly. If they're going to do anything,
or debut the 1,000-year-old Dragon Lady and have Tian Sha versus Catanzaro and Carter and let them have a feud for a bit until you build up another team, till you build up the Frankie Monet brand or whatever, right? But the whole point of it is she's being real pathetic. She's buying her lunch and whatever. Cultural misunderstandings or whatever. And even she brings up in the conversation, hey, I could be as good a partner for you as Kairi Sane was. And she kind of rolls her eyes. And she doesn't perk up until the waiter gets there. So she's really nice to the waiter and whatever. And it's really hard to not see this and I know this is not NXT's intention, don't get me wrong before anybody blows up in the comment section, but there's no way to look, because it's not, hey, I'd rather be on my own, I'm kind of frustrated that I have to have a partner, I'm kind of frustrated that this person's bugging me right now, to you're not Japanese, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
because you've played up this story where she's trying and trying and trying, and even though they have respect, she's like, I want you to know, above all else, above the fact that I respect you, I still don't like you.
Yeah, no
but
matter
then,
what,
but then they went out of their
never
way
be
to
enough.
bring up the point that she has had a tag team partner before with Kairi Sane, and she goes out into the public, and while she's bonding with the friggin' waiter that she doesn't know, and that was meant to be a, Zoe Stark being ignorant, but it was actually Zoe Stark pointing out a really good thing because, hey, you're this bitchy person that doesn't get along with anybody. You must know her. Like they're trying
exactly.
People are trying to say that was the racist bit. I don't think it was, personally.
I don't take that as racist at all either. But
like a bad assumption or whatever, right? But it's not a bad assumption because here's this person that tells you she doesn't like anybody, buddying up to the waitress. So it's really hard to not take what they did.
But it makes her seem like, she only likes people that
are from where she's from.
Yeah.
Right? And it's really hard because I said, and not for the reasons that people think, I said if she was going to be thrown into another tag team, do it with Saray. Because Saray's awesome.
There's a lot of things that they can do here.
Their styles are really similar. And Saray, total opposite of Io Shirai. I don't know if you follow Saray on social media, but she has daily videos on Instagram, and she's talking to like her English-speaking North American audience, and she's teaching them like a Japanese word or a Japanese phrase a day.
Oh, that's cool.
Just out of nowhere, and she's like, and it's just basically like, hey, it's Saray, gonna teach you your Japanese word of the day, and then she's like, it's all like, I mean, it's like super happy, but it's just this, like, it has nothing to do with the show, it has nothing to do with anything that she's doing on NXT, it's just like, I'm in North America. I don't know where she was before NXT, so I don't want to sound ignorant. But, like, she's in North America now. She's, like, found this really cool way to reach out to her English-speaking North American fan base. And she's new, so obviously she's introducing herself to the world. But to have that as the contrast to Io Shirai, who was a fucking fantastic NXT Women's Champion in her own right, let's be real, who's now been reduced to this fuck you, you're white character. That's a huge problem, man. Like, on a show that I didn't like this week, and I didn't bother reviewing it because there was so much bad with the show, this clip, this little, like, funny thing that looks like it almost could have come out of a sitcom because she's spitting the food in the napkin and she stuck the octopus to the wall, and it's silly and it's stupid and nobody will remember it by next week. This stuck out to me more than anything. And I'm not the one to be like, oh my god, look at our people are under attack or anything. But like, it's pretty blatant. And like, I'm sorry.
I can see. I didn't pick up on it, but now that you mention it, I mean, I can
like
kind of see what you're
I
going
watched
for.
this and then I just thought back on it.
See what you're going for.
I just thought back on it because, and it was specifically pushed home because they brought up, hey, I don't hate all my partners. I teamed up with Kairi Sane, and I'm buddies with this. And I guarantee you, they're going to be tone deaf enough when these guys lose the titles. Whatever.
I'm sure that will happen.
When these ones lose the titles, and they will because they're a thrown together tag team. I guarantee you, give it a couple weeks after that, give it a long enough for Zoe Stark to go do something else. Hopefully, maybe get herself back in the title picture.
Maybe
they will be tone deaf enough to then put Io Shirai with Saray and and have it work perfectly and have it not be a problem.
Yeah,
that's like, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, that's really bad.
Yeah, that's what should have.
That's really bad.
Occurred, and
I'm just, and I saw that and
it's
like,
unfortunate.
I mulled it over because I said to you, I'm going to talk about something at the end of this show. And I'm like, does it come off as bad as I think it does? And the more I think about it, the more I find other things about it that are bad.
The more I am told, the worse it seems, so.
Yeah. And so now this thing that I wanted before, which was the team of Saray and Shirai, is now going to reinforce this really bad take, or this really bad move.
Yeah.
And I do not think that any of this is intentional. I'm not saying that NXT. I don't think NXT are intentionally doing a race or nationality driven issue. I don't even I'm sorry, even WWE at this point is not that stupid unless your name's Sasha Banks.
I don't think they'd put that type of story forward.
But, like, the fact that it's not intentional makes it worse. You know what I mean?
In a way, yeah, I get it, because it's like, you know, they lack the foresight to really, you know, yeah, I get it. But then again, I mean, maybe it is intentional. I doubt it's intentional, because they're not, you know, usually when they're controversial, it's with reason, but this is just odd.
I swear to God, if their next, like, buddy skit is, like, Io Shirai takes her to her favorite dojo, and she's, like, all buddy-buddy with the instructor and still tells Zoe Stark to fuck off, I'm like, no, like, confirmed. I'm going to cut out this clip, and I'm going to repost it. And when they do it the following week, when they double and triple down on it, I'm going to cut out this clip, and I'm going to repost it. Because I don't think I'm wrong on this one. We've joked.
So
we've joked for years, or not years, but what seems like years in the time that you've been on this channel with me. And thanks for coming along for the ride, by the way.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
But we've joked for a while now that we should do an entire podcast just on all the identity politics in wrestling. Like,
yeah.
Exhibit A. Like, and in the world's biggest example of that would never be accepted the other way around, which is my measuring stick for pretty much anything.
Yeah, at this point in time, it kind of has
it doesn't pass the sniff test. Anyways,
no.
So my grand solution, the only way you save Io Shirai from me thinking that she's a racist, is pluck her out of the company that's booking her as a racist and throw her in AEW, and hopefully she can improve AEW. Also, Io Shirai versus, on a higher note, Io Shirai versus Britt Baker would be a pretty damn kick-ass title match.
Oh, that would be so great.
Anyways, pretty sure you got to jump off, so tell people where to find you.
You can find me over on the Joe Cronin Show. We go live after every AEW and WWE show, and after usually the NXT pay-per-views as well. And you can go ahead and also find me on Twitter at CountdownEnded. So you can go ahead and hit me there. Spaz, thank you so much for having me.
And you can find Jake here as well. He's been Jake.
Right.
I've been Spaz. We have been your all of the wrestling reality check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, me and Super Sexy Jake DeMarco are tagging out. Bye, guys.